The smell of roasted meat filled the evening air, drifting lazily toward the quiet riverside. The sun was setting, painting the water in shades of orange and gold. Amara stood by her small grill, turning pieces of beef on long sticks. The sizzling sound mixed with the gentle splash of the river against the shore. She had been selling roasted meat here for 3 years, and everyone in the village knew her as the Riverside meat lady. Her spot was perfect. Fishermen came back from the day's work hungry, travelers stopped for a quick bite, and lovers on evening walks bought meat to share. Amara had no shop, only a small wooden table, a stool, and her coal grill. But it was enough. She worked hard every day from late afternoon until nightfall. By then, the river was quiet, and she would pack her things and walk the short path to her home. That evening, business was good. A group of young men sat on a log nearby, laughing loudly as they ate. Children played by the water's edge, their feet splashing in the shallow part. Amara smiled to herself. She liked seeing people happy about it, made her feel that her work meant something. As the sun sank lower, the crowd slowly left. The air cooled, and a light breeze stirred the tall grass by the riverside. Amara was packing up her things when she heard a soft humming sound. It was unlike anything she had heard before, a melody that seemed to float on the air. She froze, looking around. The riverside was almost empty. Only the sound of water and the wind filled her ears. She shook her head, thinking it was probably some fishermen singing from afar. She bent to lift her stool when she heard it again, clearer this time. A woman's voice, sweet and haunting. Amara stood still, her heart beating faster. The song seemed to come from the river itself. She walked slowly toward the water, her eyes scanning the shimmering surface. Then she saw her, just a few feet from the shore. A woman floated in the water. Her skin was pale, almost glowing in the fading light. Her hair was long and black, flowing like silk in the current, and her eyes, large and bright, were fixed on Amara. For a moment, Amara could not move. The woman smiled. Her lips were red like fresh palm wine, and when she spoke, her voice was like music. "Good evening, Amara." Amara stepped back, startled. "How do you know my name?" The woman tilted her head. "I have watched you for a long time. You work hard. You are kind to everyone who comes here. I like that." Amara's throat felt dry. "Who are you?" The woman's smile widened. "I am called Precious. Some call me a spirit, others a mermaid, but I am only myself." Amara's legs felt weak. She had heard stories of water spirits, how they could bless or curse a person's life. People said they could appear as beautiful women to lure humans into the water. She took another step back. "What do you want from me?" Precious moved closer to the shore, her lower body hidden beneath the ripples. "I want to follow you home." Amara's eyes widened in shock. "Follow me home? Why?" "Because I am lonely," Precious said softly. "I live in this river with my kind, but they do not understand me. You are different. I feel drawn to you." Amara's mind raced. A mermaid following her home? This was madness. Yet there was something in Precious's eyes, something sad, almost human. She wanted to run, but she also felt strangely unable to refuse. "I don't think that's a good idea," Amara said, her voice trembling. Precious tilted her head again, her smile fading. "I mean no harm, Amara. I will not stay long." Just one night, before Amara could reply, Precious sank into the water. Amara's eyes darted around, but the mermaid was gone. The river looked normal again. She shook her head, grabbed her things, and hurried down the path to her house. When she reached her small home, she locked the door and tried to calm herself. Maybe it was her imagination. Maybe she was tired. She lit her kerosene lamp and began to prepare a small meal. But as she sat down to eat, she heard a sound at her door. It was a soft knock. Her stomach tightened. She stood slowly, her feet heavy, on the clay floor. "Who is it?" she called out. The voice that answered made her heart skip. "It is me, Precious." Amara's hand trembled as she reached for the door. She opened it just a crack and gasped. Precious stood there, her long hair damp, drops of water running down her smooth skin. She wore a simple white cloth wrapped around her body, but her beauty was almost blinding. "How did you find my house?" Amara whispered. "I told you, Precious said with a gentle smile. I have watched you for a long time. Against her better judgment, Amara opened the door wider. Precious stepped in, her bare feet leaving small wet prints on the floor. She looked around the small room with curiosity. It is warm here. I like it. Amara didn't know what to say. She set a stool for Precious and sat opposite her. The mermaid's eyes shone in the lamplight. You are afraid, Precious said softly. But you don't have to be. I only want to be near you. Ada swallowed hard. Why me? There are many people in the village. Because you are kind, Precious replied. And because I see your heart. You are lonely too. The words struck Amara like a spear. It was true. She lived alone, with no husband or children. Her parents had died years ago. Her only comfort came from her work by the riverside. But how could this strange being know that? They spoke late into the night. Precious told stories of the deep river, of cities under the water made of coral and pearls, of creatures Amara could barely imagine. In return, Amara spoke of her life on land, her struggles, and her small joys. When Amara finally lay down to sleep, Precious curled up on a mat beside her bed. The soft sound of her breathing filled the room, and Amara, despite everything, felt strangely safe. But the next morning, when Amara woke up, Precious was gone. The mat was empty. Only a small puddle of water remained. Amara went about her day, wondering if it had all been a dream. But as she set up her grill by the river that evening, she saw Precious again floating near the shore, smiling at her. From that day on, Precious came to visit often. Sometimes she stayed the night, sometimes she just talked for a while before slipping back into the river. Amara grew used to her presence. She even began to look forward to it. But soon, the village began to notice. People whispered when they saw Amara talking by the water, her face lit with joy. Some said she was bewitched. Others warned her to stay away from the river spirit before it brought her trouble. Amara tried to ignore them, but the whispers grew louder. One night, an elder woman came to her house and said, "Child, you must be careful. The water people do not love like we do. They can take more than they give." Amara lay awake that night, wondering if she was making a mistake. But deep inside, she knew that Precious had never harmed her. In fact, the mermaid had made her feel less alone than she had in years. One evening, during a heavy rain, Precious arrived at Amara's door looking troubled. "Amara," she said, "I must go away for some time. My kind has discovered my visits to you, and they are not pleased." Ada felt her heart sink. "When will you come back?" "I do not know," Precious replied, "but I promise I will try." She reached out, touching Amara's cheek gently. "Thank you for letting me into your life." And with that, she was gone. Weeks passed. Amara returned to her routine, selling meat by the riverside, but the place felt emptier now. She often found herself staring at the water, hoping to see that familiar face again. One evening, months later, as the sun dipped low, she heard that sweet humming once more. She turned and there was Precious, smiling as if no time had passed. Amara's heart leapt. Whatever the future held, she knew one thing: the riverside would never be just a workplace again. It had become the place where two very different worlds met, and where an unlikely friendship had begun. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.